But first of all, let's go back to White Hart Lane yesterday. Spurs against Arsenal, and it's weather better suited to Lord's or Wimbledon, or indeed Mexican World Cup weather. And for these two clubs, there's still plenty at stake in terms of local rivalry and pride. Spurs, in fact, feel a side that's already begun to show promise of better things for next season, except that young Steve Perryman, who played in the youth final, is given a rest, and Jimmy Pearce is at number 8. Arsenal, meanwhile, are without Frank McClintock at 5, an ankle injury. John Roberts replaces him. Otherwise, it's the Fairs Cup winning side. And 3 players join England's World Cup party today for Mexico, their professionalism overriding any fear of injury. Alan Mallory of Spurs, Martin Peters, also of Spurs, and Arsenal's Bob McNabb.
And Pat Jennings, who's missed only 1 game this season for Tottenham. Chivers challenging hard there. Roberts and Simpson undecided who shall go. And finally Roberts and Wilson there. And Gilzean getting above Wilson. Roger Morgan going in with his head and flicked on again against the crossbar there from Peters. And a tremendous let off for Arsenal. Knowles to pump it back again. Chivers in a fair bit of space on the edge of the area, closed up by Roberts and Story between them. And Story felled by Chivers. Chivers, who really harassed Simpson and Roberts into an error. Samuels to Kelly. John Samuels. And Radford again being chased by England, but Radford finding it through. George Graham! Oh, George Graham! Will he do it now? No! Finally, Spurs were saved by Evans when it seemed certain that George Graham must score. And there he was tackling Mallory a little too fiercely from the back, Graham. Story wanting to take it quickly and finding Roberts. Chivers. Played wide for Evans, who is bursting in and turning it back very nicely there for Pearce. Turning it on again, and Evans doing a lot of good work there, and Kelly almost putting it into his own net. Eddie Kelly, who really has blossomed in the last couple of months for Arsenal as a midfield player. Samuels. Arsenal now looking very much more active, but not a good passing game. In fact, Kelly wasn't moving. And so it's Morgan for Tottenham. To Peters. Morgan. And Story making it easy for Roberts, but Roberts in fact then making it difficult for himself. So Morgan in possession again. And a good-looking cross for Gilzean. Gilzean! 1-0 to Tottenham. And Arsenal's errors over on the touchline, allowing Morgan to get a good cross in, and Gilzean to do the rest. With 22 minutes of the second half gone. Alan Gilzean, the scorer. His 10th goal of the season, putting him into double figures. George. Kelly. And now Peters for Tottenham. Morgan. Gilzean waiting there at the far side, and it may come through to Gilzean. Oh, good save by Wilson. That really was a magnificent save by Wilson. He really had no time. That was a reflex save of the highest order by Bob Wilson.
So that's a good way for Spurs to finish the season with a victory. And yet I will remember a few months ago, the big match team got a fair bit of stick from Spurs supporters when we took their team apart when things weren't going quite so well. And yet a couple of the recommendations, shall I say, that Jimmy Hill made at that point, one that Philip Beale should play alongside Mike England at the heart of the defence, and 2, that they should get a bit of class in midfield to help support Alan Mallory, have been done, and Spurs are looking that much better. But Jimmy, how much better do you think they're looking?
Well, there's no doubt in my mind there is an improvement, and there are a lot of young players coming up who play typical Spurs football, lots of bite, lots of fire, but quick use of the ball. You remember that day when they outplayed Leeds with exactly that type of method. I still feel they need to do a little bit in the summer if they're going to win the First Division next year, and that's all that really means something these days. You've got, being sixth is no good. You've got to win it.
What do you think they've got to do in the summer then?
I'd like to see them get a lion-hearted front runner, not only who is physically strong and able to take knocks, but someone who will always move off the ball, ready to take a pass from defence. And I think then they'd get a slightly longer game. At the moment, I think they play very skillful short passing movements, but too many of them. I'd like to see a quick ball out, a fight for it, and then the skill that they've got to finish the movement off.
One last point. In fact, with that victory, Spurs go 1 point ahead of Arsenal at the end of the season, which must delight their fans. Having seen both these sides, who would you think might finish up top next season?
Difficult one, that. I reckon, but the time we've been about a month into season, 2 months, we shall see Chelsea, Arsenal and Tottenham in the top 8 clubs in the First Division. If Tottenham do a bit in the transfer market and just do add the final touch to the team, I reckon they'll last it till the end. Otherwise, I expect to see Chelsea and Arsenal, maybe Tottenham, in the top 5, shall we say, at the end of the season.
Well, there's a nice bit of optimism there, certainly from Jimmy Hill. Malcolm Allison attacked Alan Mullery on television during the World Cup. Alan Mullery, in the last few days, has called it a stab in the back. Today, they come face to face on the big match. But now let's go and join the 42,000 lucky fans in the sunshine at White Hart Lane. Spurs against Manchester City, lying 5th and 2nd in the First Division, respectively. Both pledged to attacking and entertaining football. A match brimming with stars, and some as bright, but none brighter, I think, than Colin Bell of Manchester City. And this Spurs team surely know all about Bell. Jennings back in goal, by the way, and Morgan at number 11 after injury. As for Manchester City, they're without young Booth at number 5, and Heslop plays. And good news for them is that Francis Lee passed a late fitness test and wears the number 9 shirt.
Knowles, oh, nicely turned inside by Perriman to Peters, and now to Mullery. Chivers, that's looking for Chivers, and he almost played that off for Mullery to come storming in on it. England. Kinnear turning it in again. Chivers once more, and now Mullery. Can he do it? No, it's just past. Well, that was bad luck for Mullery through Corrigan's legs, and just outside that post. And that was a goal Mullery would love to have got, and it would have been one in the eye, I must say, for Malcolm Allison. Pardo to Bell. And now Lee versus England again. Lee, oh, beautiful control, and Beale coming in and losing it. Lee, can he still get it? Well, he's found Oakes. There was total perseverance on the part of Francis Lee. Some beautiful skills to start it off, and then determination that almost finished it off with that pass to Oakes. Oh, straight to Mullery. Mullery being forced out towards that touchline, but now Knowles planting it in again. Peters going in, and down goes Corrigan. From Martin Peters. Lee turning it inside for Young, and Gilzean again. Oakes once more. Knowles to pick it up. Chivers trying to get away from Heslop. And Mullery going hard in on Alan Oakes. There certainly seems to be a bit of feeling between Oakes and Mullery, and here's Perriman. Chivers! Chivers! Oh, there it is! Martin Chivers! dogged piece of work by Mallory, and beautifully finished off by Martin Chivers, and that's his 6th goal in his last 3 games. Summerby taken from the back by England. Mallory, Gilzine, and Kinnear making another run down that right. Peters going hard into the middle. Still Gilzine, will he get one in with his left shot? Oh, just passed! And by the way, not only Gilzine, but Mallory threw his arms in the air. That could only have been a fraction wide. Chivers again, what a match he's having. Gilzine with Mallory now outside, and there's Gilzine. Oh, and Mallory absolutely furious that Gilzine passed it that way. And Peters didn't look very pleased with it either. Mallory was completely free outside Gilzine. Inside the penalty area too. Morgan with the corner. And Morgan again getting another chance. Perryman on the volley! Well, if you catch them properly, they go and they're unstoppable. And that one was just fractionally not caught properly. But now Martin Peters. That's for Chivers to go for. Chivers going in! My goodness, just wide! What a beautiful break by Tottenham. An inch perfect pass by Peters. And a superb looking header by Chivers. Chivers, a nice dainty little flick there to find Morgan. And then Chivers again making the burst. He's got Heslop to beat though. Pulling it back, and Perryman going in! And Book, in fact, it was who got ahead there first to turn it back. Gilzine. And now Knowles. Played for nobody but Tony Towers for Manchester City. Colin Bell. Towers. Oh, and now Gilzine in a bit of space, and Chivers. Also Gilzine. There it is, number 2 by Gilzine. And that should make it safe for Spurs. Mallory delighted. And Gilzine jinking past a couple of City defenders to put that ball wide of Corrigan.
So a victory then by Spurs that puts them 3rd in the First Division table, just 1 point behind Manchester City and 3 points behind the leaders, Leeds United. Now to look at the 2 Spurs goals in a little more detail. Jimmy Hill.
Well, I warned you last week that the Spurs were on the up and up, and I think they proved it with that fine win yesterday. All the recent features of improvement were there, and none more than in Martin Chivers, who, if he plays like that, will be probably the most costly and expensive player in the whole of England. Just look at this first goal. It showed also the great talent of Steve Perryman. We've seen him slot through balls before, but just look at this one when the ball comes down to him. Look how he weighs up the position. There he is in possession and hooks it through there. Now here's Martin Chivers, superb skill, takes it on his thigh. There's the acceleration. Just in those few strides, he gets where he's got to be, first to the ball. And as the goalkeeper comes out, he's cool and it's in the corner of the net. Corrigan actually just got his hand to that shot, but he couldn't stop it. A really wonderful performance from Chivers and an encouraging one for Spurs.
Spurs against Liverpool, 2 clubs skillfully building for the future, yet both high in the First Division. Spurs playing as well as at any time since their double year. And nobody in their team is more popular these days than Martin Chivers, top scorer with 11. Missing today, Roger Morgan, injured, so Jimmy Pearce is at 11. Substitute for the first time, young Jimmy Neighbour. Liverpool almost unrecognisable from their side of recent years. Larry Lloyd here has taken the place of Ron Yates, and such an upheaval has taken a lot of courage to achieve.
Hughes to Lawler. And Highway making another break. Oh, and he might get another chance. Highway again, just over. right to think that he would get one, but what enormous talent Liverpool have unearthed here. 22 years old, Steve Highway, Republic of Ireland international, one game he's had against Poland, scheduled for another one against Sweden on Wednesday. And I would think plenty more after that. Chivers in the air again, and this time Mallory following up quickly enough to be able to get it before McLaughlin. Perryman. Pearce. Gilzine up again, and Peters going in. Martin Peters almost getting in a shot there. Now Evans for Liverpool. Past Perryman. And this is for Thompson. Beating Mallory, who's holding it back. Oh, just tipped over! What a shot, though, by Peter Thompson. And it looked for a fraction as though Pat Jennings might be a little late on it, but flicking out his fingers when it mattered. And now Highway. Beale is chasing him. And still Highway turning it back. Evans! Oh, just past! But what a brilliant break, though, by Liverpool. And Evans was only a fraction wide. And now Peters. Kinnear going along outside. That's the one place for Kinnear. Cutting nicely inside Hughes, and Peters turning it across. Lloyd to get it away as far as Mallory. Knowles. Mallory played that almost without looking. He must have known that Knowles was coming up. Gilzine going in. Still Gilzine there over his head. Chivers! Oh, fine save by Clements. From that overhead kick by Chivers. Bill Schenker, the Liverpool manager, on the left of that picture, in a very pensive mood. England. More pressure on Liverpool now as Mallory beats Hughes. Kinnear outside him, still Mallory. That's for Kinnear, first time in. And it's there by Martin Peters! A beautiful move that by Tottenham. And a goal that puts them ahead at last by Martin Peters. Gilzine and Beale to Jennings. Jimmy Pearce shaking off Hall. A good ball to Perryman, and Perryman's through. Turns it into Chivers. Oh, just pass from Pearce. Pearce just passed, and another scintillating Tottenham move. Spurs at the moment really have got Liverpool under enormous pressure. Oh, pushed from behind by Perryman. And Perryman, is he going to have his name taken? Steve Perryman's name goes into the book. Peters is furious, but the referee is adamant. And England, look at the blood on England. He's obviously in a fair bit of trouble as well. And England is obviously in a lot of trouble. He must have taken a pretty hefty bang in the face. Evans, oh, I don't know whether that was more by luck or judgment or what, but the ball fell off his foot to Hughes, and now with Thompson. Evans, still Evans. Oh, the shot beautifully cut out, though, by Perryman. Smith. And Perryman tackling him as well. Lindsay. And Beale. Gilzine. Kinnear. Peters. Lawler. Evans. Before England went thundering into him, and England's name is also going into the book. So that's 3 names in the book now this afternoon: Lindsay, Perryman and England. And it's been a vigorous game, but never a dirty one.
So a win for Spurs then, and the goal credited to Martin Peters, although Martin admitted to me afterwards that the ball could quite easily have bounced off the Liverpool skipper Tommy Smith. So then, for the second week running, our camera behind the goal will perhaps show you something that you may not have seen already. We'll look at it again now. The words come from Jimmy Hill, struggling with a very bad throat today.
Well, there's the start from Mike England, but it's Alan Mullery who shows his determination there. But I want you to watch the weight of the ball he lays off here with his right foot to Joe Kinnear. Just perfect to enable him to get that one touch. There's Martin Peters on the near post, and I think you can see as it's deflected in, the way the goalkeeper is going, it's deceived him completely, and I thought that might have even missed that post. But there it was, a good performance with Spurs. Eddie Bailey in charge yesterday with Bill Nicholson away, still looking for players to improve that team, but I thought they did pretty well. It was an important result for them.
But now we have some more action for you, and it comes from Tottenham's visit yesterday to Manchester City. Spurs then going up to Main Road, where our commentator is Gerald Sinstadt, and Spurs in the white shirts, pictures from Granada.
Connor to Young. Bowyer going out to his left. A good ball tucked inside Collins for Bowyer. This could be a goal. Bowyer came closer to scoring with his boot than with the ball. Brook. Peters to Gilzean, and Gilzean a good effort, turned over by Healy, corner given, a pat on the back for Healy from Connor, so he must certainly have got a fingertip to it. Pratt with the corner. It's coming for Gilzean, a beautiful header, kicked off the line by Charles. Nodded away by Hill to Perryman. And it's in, off the goalkeeper's arms, it's a goal. Steve Perryman must be credited with that. He really hit that. The ball cleared off the line from the first corner by Charles, helped away, and it came through to Perryman. Perryman hit it, and Healy flung himself to his left, got his arms to the ball, and could only touch it onto the post, and from there into the net. 1-0 to Spurs. Perryman. Again for Gilzean. Nodded down for Pratt. And Pratt scored! No, the linesman's flag is up. Somebody offside?
And the goal disallowed for offside, probably against Alan Gilzean, though I doubt if he'd agree with me.
Charlie George, who can hit him. Oh, a great goal! Charlie George!
Right, let's get straight on with the football as we go to White Hart Lane for Spurs against Crystal Palace. I can never remember the Spurs pitch looking quite so good. And a little point, if you've just laid 100 or so turfs on your lawn this summer, Spurs in fact put down 26,000 on this pitch, with some better drainage to go with it too. As for the two teams for today's game, Spurs, first of all, led by their skipper, Alan Mullery, and they're at full strength today. This is because Ralph Coates and Alan Gilzean have recovered from knocks they received in that winning European match in Iceland on Wednesday. It's a team that's lost only once this season, that 4-0 thrashing at Manchester City. And in 4 meetings with Crystal Palace, they've never lost. In fact, they've never so much as conceded a goal. So Crystal Palace, bottom of the table, know well enough what they face today. Steve Kember leads the side with Alan Birchnell and Bobby Tambling restored to it, Jerry Queen as well. But they've not had a win since the opening day of the season, and the odds are that they will come and defend.
that time by Blythe on Chivers, but the referee in fact is, well, the ball is in the net, but the whistle had gone. The whistle had gone. The linesman had his flag up, and the referee whistled. The linesman put his flag down, and I suppose Chivers saw that. Chivers, Perryman, Chivers again, prepared to take on all comers, onto that left foot. Oh my goodness, just across that goal. What a tremendous break by Chivers. To be taken by a bloodied Cyril Knowles. Gilzine taking a bit of a buffeting there. Peters! Oh my goodness, just over that Crystal Palace crossbar with a really tremendous shot by Peters. Birchinall, Wall, stopped by Beale. Kinnear. And Beale again. Good play by Philip Beale. And Perryman to take it up now for Spurs. The referee prepared to let that one go on with Spurs in possession. Played for Gilzine. Perryman again. The penalty area absolutely packed now with Crystal Palace players, and Spurs are going to find it difficult. There's Chivers putting it across. Muller's got in, and he's putting it against the crossbar, and it's finally put behind by Mel Blythe, who is down and injured. Muller is header there against that Crystal Palace crossbar, and they knew nothing about that one. Linesman again flagging on this side, but of course the final decision is always with the referee, and if the linesman sees anything, he's got a flag. And now Perryman. Peters. Oh, and goes in. Down he goes, and that surely has got to be a penalty, and it is a penalty. That was a very good piece of refereeing. In fact, Mr. Smith delaying that decision until he saw whether the ball finished up in the net, because he felt that it was a penalty offence when Gilzine was brought down, and then when it went wide, gave the penalty. Well, now that's going to put pressure on John Jackson, and it's going to be Martin Peters who takes it. Steve Kember, in fact, getting a talking to from the referee at the moment. But now it becomes a battle between Martin Peters placing that ball and John Jackson in the Crystal Palace goal. Here he comes, and there it is. Absolutely no mistake about it. The perfect penalty from Martin Peters, and it puts Spurs into the lead. Beautifully placed there, side-footed by Martin Peters. A penalty that no doubt will now open the game up a little bit, because it's no good Palace drawing men back now. They've got to come back and see what they can do about equalising. Now it's Coates. Chivers. Oh, played nicely wide of McCormick there by Chivers. And away goes Coates on a beautiful run across the goal, and tumbling at the very last ditch to get it away for Crystal Palace. Magnificent play by Tottenham, though, in the first place by Chivers, carried on superbly by Ralph Coates. McCormick to Birchinall, nicely inside for McCormick. Perryman to cut it out, Coates. Oh, and Blythe and McCormick knocking each other's out, and Chivers to tuck it away for the second one. Well, that really was a chapter of accidents in that Crystal Palace defence, with Blythe and McCormick knocking each other out. There they are. And the ball running loose for Martin Chivers to stretch out a toe and poke it past John Jackson. Jenkins to look for Queen. And still Jenkins again. Now can Jenkins do something with that one across there? And my goodness, that called for a quick reaction from Pat Jennings. That was a good little break by Ross Jenkins. He made just enough room for himself to get that shot in. Perryman beginning to assert a lot of influence in the middle of the field now. Perryman with Mullery. Gilzine. Coates the worker. To Mallory, the skipper, and now Kinnear. Turning again, Gilzine just getting a foot to it. Chivers to nod it down for Perryman. Gilzine. Flick through there, and will it go? No, it won't. Perryman again, playing with Crystal Palace, and Mallory to really hammer that one. They toyed with Crystal Palace once, twice and again, and then out it came to Mallory. A fine goal for Tottenham and their third. And when Mallory hits them, they really stay hit. And nobody could testify to that more than John Jackson. Joe Kinnear. Peters. Perryman. Kinnear again. Mallory. Cyril Knowles onto that right foot. My goodness, that wasn't far away.
Now let's go to Jimmy Hill, get his views on yesterday's game at White Hart Lane.
Well, in fact, Crystal Palace defended very bravely until that penalty was given against them. But then it was one-way traffic, and there was no doubt that Spurs were going to win. It could have been 8 or it could have been 10. But the second goal, the one that did go in the net, was remarkable because it enabled Ralph Coates to make a telling contribution, one he'd been wanting to make since he got there, to Spurs' scoreline. It was a remarkable incident to start with. You can see Blythe there chasing the ball. McCormick heads it. Those two players are on the same side, but they appear to be having some kind of personal argument then. It's Coates who picks up the ball. Maybe a suspicion of handball there, but it's a beautifully weighted ball through to Chivers, and with his pace, that's all that was needed. Ball in the back of the net, another goal for Martin Chivers, laid on by Ralph Coates. But it was the third goal, the one that Alan Mallory scored, that may well be a contender for our Golden Goals competition later in the season. There's a lovely flick from Gilzine. Perryman stolen in there, tries to score first time, but he can't, and Chivers nods it back for somebody to run in and hit. Perryman's off the floor again, lays it on for Mallory. This is in slow motion. Look at the power. Tremendous, powerful shot to finish off that move by Mallory, and that was when Spurs were at their most confident. But I went down there yesterday to try and give you a picture of how Ralph Coates was playing, but I couldn't. I started to write down things about Alan Gilzine, the old stager, who refuses to lie down and provided the most entertaining moments for me of yesterday's game. This was right at the start. Watch the way he lays this ball into the space for Knowles to steam up the line, take it up there, and then cross it. His pace, when he plays it off his foot or whether he plays it from his head, is quite remarkable. He leaves the ball, as he does here with a back header, into the space for Mallory to pick it up. He's seen that moments before the crowd. And he's got all the skills and showing lots of determination. I think he's liking the way the referees are reflecting the laws at the moment. As he picks this ball up here, there's a chest trap, little flick up in the air, and all the venom in the world there in that shot, but it was blocked. But it gave Martin Peters the chance to have that shot. And finally, the completely confident Gilzine on the touchline gives an example of Scottish skills to enjoy. A beautiful back heel there, nonchalantly played, the confident Gilzine.
Martin Peters captaining Spurs in the absence of the injured Alan Mallory. Now John Pratt gets the number 4 shirt for Spurs, and with Ralph Coates still out of action, Jimmy Neighbour continues at number 7. So that's the Spurs lineup then, as we turn to Everton. Alan Ball is captain, having recently recovered from a troublesome groin injury. Mostly familiar names here, except of course the number 2, John McLaughlin, bought a month ago from Falkirk. The referee today, George Hartley from Yorkshire, his first ever game at Tottenham. Among the 40,000 crowd, Sir Alf Ramsey.
And Ray Evans with Spurs free kick. A deep one towards Gilzine. Gilzine getting ahead to it. Peters getting behind him. Chivers right in there. And my goodness, it was nearly Knowles getting in there for the shot. Peters to Knowles. Cut out by Ball. Neat little flick there by Ball. And our neighbour. Oh, a good cross by neighbour. Oh, save by West from John Pratt. And Howard Kendall on the right is a very good substitute indeed for Everton to have up their sleeves. Neighbour turned in nicely for Peters. Neighbour Plenty of chance to cross it, preparing to take on his man, and beat him. And a nice cross there for Pratt! Oh! John Pratt! And a beautiful goal it was! Good work by Neighbour in the first place. A nice little cross. And Pratt there to finish it off. Pratting again very quickly for Spurs. McLaughlin. Royal certainly taking a nudge from behind there by Mike England, but the referee didn't spot it, and Spurs go away. Now Chivers onto that right foot. And a beautiful goal by Chivers. Give him a chance like that, and he so rarely fails. A really wonderful shot there by Martin Chivers. Crushing it there past Gordon West. Beautifully taken goal by the big man. Making it 19 in the season for him and 2 this afternoon for Spurs. Well, West at least can be resigned to the fact that he had no chance with that. So really emphasising once again that Everton at the moment looking but a shadow from the great sides that they've brought to London over the last few years. And Spurs now rampant as Jimmy Neighbour takes it up. Chivers inside him. Peters going outside him. That's the one for Peters. Knowles. And the cross there towards Gilzean. Playing it back there for Perryman to hit it. Just past that Everton post. A real whiplash move again by Tottenham. Perryman steaming up unnoticed. McLaughlin. And now Morrissey. Making again the right sort of angle for the cross as Royal goes in, this time with a foot, and the goal, but it's not given, not given. Hotspur, in fact, who banged it in. Perryman. Chivers with his head to lay it off for Peters. Played again for Gilzean, for Chivers. And now for Neighbour. Knowles. And he got that across very well. That crossbar over from Cyril Knowles. He was challenged by 2 Everton defenders with no space at all, and yet he got across a very good-looking centre indeed. Oh, what a bad one. Chivers. Oh, and West. And a goal. Yes, it's given. No dangers. And Gordon West has only got himself to blame. What a bad clearance. Straight to Gilzean. Gilzean to Chivers, and that was it. Well, West must be furious with himself for that. A terrible clearance. And that 1-2 from Spurs. Off West's body and into the net. Royal. Oh, that fell nicely for Steve Perryman. Pratt turning it on nicely for Alan Gilzean. Chivers in the middle. Evans hitting it first time under that crossbar. My goodness, it gave him no room for error at all. And Chivers getting in the way of Neighbour. But that wasn't a very good piece of goalkeeping again by Gordon West, allowing that ball to go onto the crossbar like that. He had so long to line it up. Evans, gently and neatly back to Jennings. Neighbour, tricking Alan Ball, and that gave him a fair bit of pleasure, I would think. Feeding Ball again and finding Perryman. Evans. Good looking cross towards Gilzean. Fraction past that post. The linesman kept his flag down and West felt that Gilzean was offside. Looks he may have done his shoulder no good. We're now in injury time. Royal, Kendall, the deep cross again, and England once more on the end of it. McLaughlin going in, and Husband, and McLaughlin, and kicked right off that ground. My goodness, how cool can you get? Cyril Knowles. He stopped it on the line. It looked as though he was prepared to try one or two skills before he cleared it. And there goes the final whistle, the final flourish, and a fine second half by Tottenham. Thoroughly deserving it with those two second-half goals by Martin Chivers, one a classic and one a gift, to add to the first half goal by John Pratt.
But now here's Jimmy Hill to take a closer look at that Tottenham performance yesterday.
Well, in fact, not only when we go to Spurs do they score goals, but they produce vintage football as they did yesterday. If they have a bad performance, it seems that the big match misses it. I thoroughly enjoyed their crisp, short-passing style, vintage Spurs stuff at its best. The big men yesterday, Martin Peters, was in his usual form and right bang on song. Martin Chivers, I thought, wasn't quite at his best, although even not at his best, he can still score a couple of goals. But it was the small men, if they'll excuse me calling them that yesterday, John Pratt and Jimmy Neighbour, who really took everyone's eye. Spurs reserves, young players in the making, and it was a pleasure to see them producing this kind of form. First of all, we pick up Jimmy Neighbour, and he shows here his extraordinary balance, how he can fall and he's still up quickly, and also the improvement in his laying of the ball off. Again, resisting tackles, challenging for it. Lovely first-time ball there through from Cyril Knowles. And see the weight of this pass down the line on the overlap. Perryman was offside, but Neighbour is improving in his laying off. Now he wins the ball in, for me, the most classical move of the game. First time up the line from Peters, and there's a left-foot layoff right in the space left for Peters to collect. A really lovely piece of football to watch. But he spent all the game tormenting Tommy Wright. Here he makes a challenge and deservedly gets the ball back. Look at this skill. And a good left foot cross that goes just over Gilzean's head. Now back to the first half again, and where they nearly, the combination of Neighbour and Pratt, one clever dribble, nearly put Spurs in the lead. But a fine save there from Gordon West prevented it. But in the end, it was exactly the combination of these two young players that started Spurs on the road. Feinting to come inside, going onto that left foot again, a beautiful cross, this time a glancing header from John Pratt, and Spurs are 1-up. A really pleasant performance to watch from two such young players from Spurs Soccer Academy. I must mention two defenders. They don't often get a mention. Cyril Knowles, because it was the kind of game where everything went right for him and ended with that ice-cool clearance off the line, and also Philip Beale, because not only yesterday, but in recent matches, he's been so positive and sure in his play and a rock in the middle of the Spurs defence.
But first it's on with the main match, and we go to White Hart Lane, where the visitors on a cold and a raw day were the League Cup finalists Stoke City. Spurs against Stoke, two sides on their day, really capable of the most attractive football. Let's catch up on the two teams, and first let's look at the Spurs side. It's at full strength, with Steve Perryman fit again after a groin injury to return to number 8. That means that young Phil Holder drops down to substitute. So, no problems there. But what a contrast for Stoke City. They come to Tottenham without Easton, Dobing, Ritchie, Marsh, Pejic and Bernard, all injured. So it's a side that'll bear little resemblance to the one that faces Chelsea at Wembley in a fortnight's time. Two great goalkeepers, Pat Jennings and Gordon Banks, meeting before the battle.
Peters. Good challenge there by Stevenson. But Stoke have given the ball away. England now. Peters again. Evans, a nice little flick by Peters. Two lovely pieces of skill by Peters. And a good ball now for Coates. A deep one towards Chivers, nodding it down. Morgan a fraction wide. But lovely understanding there by Spurs. Again started by Peters, taken up by Coates. Chivers, nice nod down, and number 11 Morgan just wide. Perryman. And now Knowles. Across again towards Gilzean, who slipped his man for a moment. Morgan! Morgan shot, but some lovely work there by Alan Gilzean. And now it's Knowles. Old Peters in a nice lot of space. Morgan outside him. Or further on, rather. A dummy there by Chivers. Gilzean, now Perryman to hit one. Oh, against the post! And the luckiest man in the world was Gordon Banks. He'd given that up as lost from Perryman, and that ball whacked against the post and straight back, surprised into his arms. That really was a remarkable piece of luck. Perryman, oh, a siding challenge there on Perryman by the number 8 Jackson, which will have done him no good. Jump to Blore. Jennings. I'm not surprised he's hobbling after that one, and perhaps the only surprise is that the referee didn't have a word with the Stoke player. Morgan now. It's for Chivers now. Can he make this one count? And he can! Martin Chivers. 1-0. Beyond the reach of Banks. And for Chivers, his 34th goal of the season. England, Perryman and Beale. Good piece of defensive play there by Spurs. Good linking up now as it comes to Gilzean. And a lovely ball there again towards Martin Peters. His shot! Oh, and he's wide with what would have been a tremendous goal. That really was wonderful team play by Tottenham. Chivers now, can he slip Smith? It looks as though he might do. Still Chivers! Oh, and he's wide! Lovely break though by Chivers, and that must have had Banks really worried. Shook off Dennis Smith so well. Skeels back to Banks. Oh, Banks. Oh, I think he was accidentally kicked at the back there by Chivers. Certainly there was nothing intentional. Chivers was bounding after Banks as Banks was rolling that ball away. And Banks really caught it on the back of the leg. Not really in the back of the leg either. No, a little higher than the back of the leg. I was going to say we've seen it all, but not quite. And a free kick to Tottenham. Mike England putting it back to Pat Jennings. Playing injury time now, but they've got to wait for the Spurs trainer to get off the field. And now Conroy blocking that back pass to Pat Jennings. So England will take a more positive free kick this time. Chivers all right, but he won't get to it. Banks will. Now Chivers. Yes, number 2 for Tottenham. Martin Chivers second. In the dying seconds, Banks, it looked as though Banks had got it, but somehow Chivers wrestled it away out of his grasp and then had the simplest of jobs to turn it home.
Indeed, the world's number 1 who blotted his copybook right at the end there. So Spurs, without really playing well, chalk up a valuable win, but they are still 6 points behind the leaders, Manchester City. But first, let's get across to White Hart Lane on a September afternoon that felt much more like late November for this London derby game between Spurs and the Palace. For Spurs, there's the incentive to pull themselves together after a poor performance in the League Cup against Huddersfield. But missing from the side now is Philip Beale, who twisted an ankle in that game. Terry Naylor comes in at number 6. But back to the Spurs side now is their skipper, Martin Peters, recovered from a stomach upset. Meanwhile, Crystal Palace, showing far better form so far this season, make a surprise change in their attack, where Bobby Tambling is brought in to replace John Craven, who's substitute. Bill Roffey at 3, a full-back given further experience. But the game is also something of a milestone for goalkeeper John Jackson. He's playing his 250th consecutive game for the club.
Well, that'll fall for Gilzine. And then on for Jimmy Pearce. Back for Chivers, and he hit that one go. Peters, Pearce. Still Pearce. Curling it. Oh, and a save by Jackson, and he just got it at the second go. Well, that was a good piece of play by Tottenham, and particularly by the substitute Jimmy Pearce, on just a couple of minutes ago for Joe Kinnear. Now Pratt. Chivers. Well, he's shaken off McCormick. Trying to get it going. Now Pearce. And down he goes, and a penalty has been given. And Pearce fell over Pinckney. Pearce fell over Pinckney. And Palace don't like that at all. Palace don't like it. And it's a cruel blow for them because they've contained Tottenham so well in the opening 37 minutes. And Martin Peters, who scored a penalty against Ipswich last week, and will almost, as he very often does, puts it to the left of the goal, in other words, to the goalkeeper's right. Jackson, who would have seen it often enough before, will wonder if he's going to do it now, and he changes to the other direction and puts Tottenham a goal ahead. Well, that's the art of taking penalties. When you kid goalkeepers, if they watch them on television, you're going to put them one way because you so often do. Chivers in the 6-yard area. England going up again. Peters and Gilzine, both very fine headers of the ball, but Pearce with the corner, and England the goal. So Mike England, who missed so very narrowly at the very start of the game, right at the end of the first half, put Spurs 2-0 ahead. Another mighty kick by Jennings. Coates stopping it before it goes into touch. Pratt very close to help him. But Coates going his own way and letting one curl in there. And at the very last, Jackson had to grab it because that would have gone in off the far post. A fine little jinking run there by Ralph Coates, and a shot at the end to match it. Oh, and is that going to be an own goal? It is! Oh, a crazy own goal that somehow is symptomatic of the whole afternoon of Tottenham, as Cyril Knowles, with the simplest of back passes to his goalkeeper Pat Jennings, gives a further crazy turn to the afternoon and presents Crystal Palace with the simplest goal they'll score all season.
But let's look to the bright point of the game. For me, it was Jimmy Pearce. Spurs were struggling, and Palace, to an extent, had their measure until this man came on and really started the Spurs to play football. A nice little lay back there to Chivers to enable him to get in that shot, which was blocked. But watch what happens after that. Good control on the chest. He's stuck against his man there, but see how he makes the room quickly, and also how much power he gets in there to enable Jackson to get it only at the second attempt. That ball was really struck firmly. And here we see Pearce playing a part, there he is laying the ball off, in Spurs' best move of the match. This is Spurs at their fluent best. Perryman lays it there out to Chivers. And you can see the football brain working. He's already assessed it. A first-time through ball down the line. Another one from Peters there, only just in front of Alan Gilzine. I wonder sometimes why Jimmy Pearce doesn't get a more extended run in that Spurs team. He's full of craft, full of football skill. The only thing he really lacks, I think, is confidence and drive. And the fans, if they made up their mind, could really give that to him.
Well, a very Merry Christmas to you all, and welcome again to the big match. You must be wondering why David Webber Chelsea is sitting here instead of Brian Moore. Well, I've got some of my mates here today, and we decided that Brian and Jimmy deserve a day off. Also, we think we can do just a good job at it as well. You might be wondering who my mates are. Well, there's Mike England of Spurs.
Hello.
And Alan Mallory of Fulham.
Good afternoon.
So first, let's join Brian at White Hart Lane for Spurs against Sheffield United. All right, lads.
Welcome to White Hart Lane for this first division match. Spurs against Sheffield United. Spurs slipping recently in the league, but still lying 9th to Sheffield United 16th. The pitch standing up well to Tottenham's heavy programme, a bright but cold afternoon. And for this game, Spurs field a side that shows one change from the one that beat Wolves in that League Cup semi-final at Molineux on Wednesday. At number 11, in place of Jimmy Pearce, Ralph Coates gets another chance, with Pearce now dropping to substitute. A special week for one Spurs player, for Steve Perryman, 21 this week. A lot behind him already, so much for him to look forward to in the years to come. As for Sheffield United, they're unchanged. Their only decision for manager John Harris was the sub, and he's decided on the young defender Mickey Spate. Mike England's long free kick. Gilzean once more reaching it with his head. Knowles playing it quickly to Gilzean. The back heeler for John Pratt. Hockey's header. Pratt again going in, prepared to take on all comers, and it'll fall now for Gilzean. And a good save by McAllister. Well, it was the fighting qualities of John Pratt that won the chance for Alan Gilzean. Flynn, Salmons again, Hockey, and now Peters. Gilzean, Perryman. Well, he'll have to get rid of it quickly because Dearden was coming back fast and the crowd warned him. Chivers played nicely there for Perryman, and first time to Gilzean. Played on beautifully for Chivers. Going on, and a goal is given. Martin Chivers the scorer, and Sheffield United feel sure that he pulled it down with his hand. They are chasing the referee. They are chasing the referee almost the length of the pitch, claiming that Martin Chivers helped that down with his hand. But the goal is given, and Spurs go into the lead. Well, Tom McAllister could do nothing about it. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he had a better view than anybody. Maybe our camera behind the goal had a good view as well. Certainly, that's an incident we need to look at again. Ray Evans. Oh, and he's lost it to Dearden. Here's a chance now for Sheffield United. Dearden against Jennings as Spurs come back fast. He's gone round his man. Can he turn it in? No, because Evans saved Spurs as he needed to do. Evans, having given that ball away to Dearden so badly, recovered so well, and Dearden, having rounded Pat Jennings, couldn't find the angle to make the equaliser. Salmons again for Sheffield United. Evans. Pratt beaten in the air. Dearden again, back to Hemsley, who's right in there. A 1-2 with Curry going. Hemsley again, straight at Pat Jennings. Spurs bench there in the centre in the sheepskin coat. Ron Henry, one of the great double side for Spurs in the early 1960s. Played beautifully there. Inch perfect there by Curry for Len Badger. Towards the near post, and Curry had gone in and pushed away by Pat Jennings. And that really shows the quality of Tony Curry's play. He might be a little bit petulant, and he's had his name taken this afternoon already. But he played a beautiful long ball, Bobby Charlton style there to Badger. And not content with that, he was at the near post to really cause Jennings to make that save. Back for Naylor. Dearden. And Perryman getting in quickly and finding Mike England. The turn now for Ray Evans. Now Spurs advancing in some numbers down that right. A good cross by him towards Gilzean. Gilzean with a chance! And a chance that was badly missed by Alan Gilzean. The floating cross from Evans was a little too high for him, but it bounded off the knees of a defender, straight at his feet. And he knows that that was a chance that was missed. Pratt again. Curry going through powerfully, with a lot of determination. And now Woodward slipping past Terry Naylor. The cross needs to be a good one, and Evans miscued, and Salmons missed a bad chance there again. But that miscue again in that Spurs defence left an open goal for Jeff Salmons, and it came maybe a little quicker than he thought. Maybe so he was surprised that it came at all. Perryman. Evans. Good cross there by Evans, clipped nicely there, and Perriman following it in. Chivers with a 1-2, Perriman! Yes! Beautifully played by Spurs. There could hardly be a better example of a 1-2 than that. Played between Perriman and Chivers, and Perriman then got on the end of it, and steered it just inside the post. Gilzean first to the ball again. Peters sending Chivers on his way. And there's Evans streaking into the position there where he might try a little chip. He has indeed. And the header just passed from Martin Peters. Beautiful run, though, by Ray Evans, because he bounded with those long strides of his from nowhere, took the ball beautifully, and could easily have lost his head and tried to slam one in, but that was a beautiful cross when he was going full pelt. Perriman and Pratt. No, it won't go through to Pratt. It goes to Hockey instead. Perriman trying to repair the damage, and it's Dearden. Salmon's a long ball there, and beautifully played as it happened, straight to Alan Woodward. Got two Spurs players going the wrong way there, but didn't really capitalise on it quickly enough. But it's with Curry. There's Woodward again with another chance. And offside against Dearden. Unfortunately for him, he was, because goodness knows what his teammates would have said if he'd missed a chance like that while he was onside. So the goal wouldn't have counted. The miss doesn't mean anything either. And now Scullion. This is a chance now for Sheffield United, still with Scullion, and now with Dearden. And Knowles, as cool as you like, not only saves it on the line and thinks about it, then plays it straight across Scullion and away to safety. So, good piece of work by Jennings, who made it difficult for Sheffield United, and finally stopped by Cyril Knowles.
Well, in case you've switched on late, I'm here today because three of us players in London have made a takeover bid for the big match. Now it's the turn of Alan Mallory, Fulham's answer to Jimmy Hill, to sum up that Spurs game with Tottenham's Mike England.
Instead of going on to the Sheffield United-Tottenham game yesterday, Mike, let's have a generalisation of the club's position at the moment. If you can give me some reason why they always do well in cup competition rather than the league competition.
Well, I think they're a team that are able to rise to the occasion. And just of late, we've had so many important matches in the cup competitions, and we're very happy with the position because the most important matches we've played recently, we've won. Apart from the Arsenal match, which is always an important match as far as we're concerned. We got beat by the Arsenal, and we wore black ties for a few days.
Is there any possible reason why, you know, even when I was there, was in exactly the same position, I couldn't find any reason why. The game on a Saturday, the bread and butter game, which was the league match, we seemed to go along and play them reasonably well, but when the cup competition came around, we always seemed to do much better.
Yes, I think this is why Spurs are always a good bet for the cup. As I say, we're able to rise to the occasion. Wednesday, we had the match at Wolves. Everyone was on edge, nerves were there, and we had a marvellous result. And then you come home and have to play a league match against Sheffield United, which isn't the most attractive.
Well, let's have a look at the Sheffield United game yesterday, and we could see the Martin Chivers goal, where there was a little bit of controversy about the goal from the Sheffield United players, where Martin was supposedly to handle the ball.
Well, as I said, you know the size of Martin Chivers and the great chest he has, and Tarzan's not even in it. But there we are. Look, he takes it on his chest. You can see quite clearly it's on his chest, and he drops his right shoulder. The ball falls to the ground, and then brilliant finish.
Well, I'm a bit biased. I didn't think he handled the ball there, but as you say, a superb finish, a fine goal. You know, Martin, the nice thing about Martin lately is that he's scoring goals again, and he seems to have come back on love. He's playing very, very well.
Quite true. We're very, very pleased with the way Martin's playing at the moment. He's now working so hard, and he's putting the ball in the back of the net. What more can you ask? Well,
this is a great thing for goal scorers, you know. And another goal yesterday, the Stevie Perriman goal, which I thought was a superb goal.
Yes.
Undoubtedly, I think it will go in the golden goals later next month. It's a fine crossing away from Ray Evans, which is headed out to Stevie Perriman.
And this is where he does a beautiful 1-2, takes the return, nips sweetly inside the fullback.
That's good football, isn't it? That's fine football. He puts himself in a beautiful position here now, very, very steady, and he knocks the ball underneath the goalkeeper into the net.
Well, I think there you can see how he kept his head. 12 months ago, maybe Steve would have blasted that, but after the 12 months experience, he kept his head in the critical moment and just placed the ball nicely under the goal.
Has he been doing any of this in his training? Has he been practising that he's got to keep his head in this situation?
Yeah, well, Steve has been a short ball player where his game has been very short, but lately he's been trying to spread the play around, and this season he's playing brilliantly.
Let's have a look at the two goalkeepers now. Pat Jennings, who I would rate personally as probably the best goalkeeper in the world, but this is McAllister of Sheffield United. Could you fault him in any way for this goal?
Not really, no. No, he takes Steve wide, he spreads himself well, and I think it's just the coolness of Steve that...
yeah, I would agree in a way. You know, I think he did quite well there. He may have been a little bit slow going down, but this is a Pat Jennings, a bit different. You can see how quickly he comes off his line and the ticket comes into camera. And there he goes, he's spreading himself straight away, and he gets a touch of the ball at Deirdre, and he stops the ball brilliantly, you know. The only thing I was worried about there, what were you doing on your face?
Well, I was hoping you wouldn't mention that. They would have to pick that shot out, yes.
But it did show the brilliant ability of Pat Jennings to come off his line quickly, you know.
Marvellous, marvellous. He made a couple of saves yesterday, just similar to that.
Great save from Pat. And for me, he's the best goalkeeper in the world, definitely. And it's nice to see Tottenham get 2 points yesterday and doing so well in the cup competitions. For my honest opinion, I think you win them all, and give my best regards to all the lads.
Cheers, Alan, I hope you're right. But you must be quite pleased with the way things are going at Fulham at the moment, because you've been picking up some very useful points. And as the season's only just half over, you know, at the end of the season, we could be playing you next year.
We could be. It would be nice, mate.
First of all, we must go off to White Hart Lane for the First Division match between Spurs and Derby County. A blustery afternoon for the arrival of the two teams. Spurs led out by the man who captained England last Wednesday, Martin Peters. But a Spurs side that has won only 2 out of 9 league games this season, and none of them at home. As for Derby County, they've lost only 2 of their 9 league games, led by Roy McFarland, and it was here, of course, that they produced the game of the season last season when they won a cup tie by 5 goals to 3. So, with both teams on the field, we're just about set now, and let's first of all catch up on the teams for today. As for Spurs, it's much as expected. Ralph Coates has recovered from a little niggle that kept him out of the side last week, but a new name in goal where Pat Jennings has a rib injury and 20-year-old Barry Daines gets only his 4th game, understudy for so long to the great Pat. Derby County kept their side secret to the last possible moment. They've cautiously left out strikers Roger Davis and Alan Hinton, and they put midfield players Archie Gemmell and Henry Newton into number 11 and number 8 shirts. And here is the man they've just bought from Everton, the number 8, Henry Newton.
Time for him to measure up something, but he's got McGovern fairly close at hand now. It's the short ball to Coates, and now Coates to Beale. And there goes Chivers through from that ball from Beale, and that was a very good save indeed by Bolton. A beautiful ball from Philip Beale, though, and Chivers was on it like a flash, but equally quick was Colin Bolton. England right up there with that aim in mind. And so was Coates, and that was just pushed around right at the very last by Colin Bolton. Coates diving in very bravely there when the ball was at the feet of Derby defenders. Here's the next corner. England getting up for this one, and that one's wide. And so it's a goal kick to Derby County, and that livens things up again a little more. Gilzine and Chivers are there, but outnumbered 4-2. Oh, nice little header there by Coates. Now, can Chivers make anything of this? Under an assault, really, from Todd and from Nish. Coates Oh, he completely fooled Derby there. They thought he was going to play it down the line. It'll come through for John Pratt again, and he can't catch it properly, can Chivers. The strength of the man might help him. Peters is there, and he just pokes it a yard wide. Combination there of the sheer strength of Chivers and the quick opportunism of this man, Martin Peters. And England poised to make a late run. But in fact, it's Gilzine, the little back header. Coates poking it in, Ralph Coates. 1-0, and Coates has done it. From Chivers' long throw. And Ralph Coates scores his first goal of the season, and there it is. The long throw, Derby not really clearing it. And Coates just poking it in. 1-0 with 9 minutes to go to half-time. McGovern. And he had to hold on to it because O'Hare was in an offside position. Hector. Oh, he did very well there, Hector, and that was a nasty bouncing one for Danes. McFarlane, very aware of all that was around him then, looking up all the time. Knew that Nish was on hand, and now Gilzine, having dispossessed David Nish, can he make this shot count? It's wide, it's too high. But Bolton, I think, must have just got a hand to it, because the corner's been given. Chivers is there too, Peters is waiting, that's a better looking corner. Peters coming in fact getting his head to it, nudged down, but just wide by Gilzine, who was, it wasn't Gilzine who was offside, it must have been a foul by Peters as he went in to head that ball. Well, Spurs came forward quickly then, hoping to catch Derby offside, but someone must have lingered. And the referee saying that it was offside. Well, Knowles hitting it straight at Perrine. Oh, what a good long ball, and Gilzine is the last man. This is the chance for Gilzine. Well, this must be it. No! Stopped by Nish. Well, Gilzine's face told it all there. That is what you call, I suppose, in First Division terms, an open goal, even though there was a defender in the way. The goalkeeper was right out of it. Chivers inside for Coates. And he's just found Chivers again. Still with Chivers. Still with Chivers. A beautiful piece of play by Chivers. Oh, and a fine save by Bolton. That was magnificent football. Chivers showing the most tremendous close skills, and Bolton the shot to save it at the end, or the save that really prevented Spurs from scoring their second goal.
It certainly wasn't the Derby County that I'd expected to see, and the papers this morning seem to say the same sort of thing. It's a gift for Spurs from Clough. Ralph Rex Clough Caper. Clough cheers Spurs, so what's the excuse, Brian?
Well, I haven't got an excuse, because obviously I disagree with it. We thought we played quite well. We thought we did our fair share of attacking, and we were actually puzzled. That's the first time I've seen this morning's papers, in actual fact. But we were actually puzzled in our dressing room with the reaction we got from you and a few of your colleagues regarding the match. I think you were conditioned to a lot of goals, and when they didn't come, I believe then you blamed us.
I think we were conditioned also by the fact that you'd got Archie Gemmell in a number 11 shirt,
yes,
Henry Newton in an 8 shirt, and you'd left out Hinton and Roger Davis.
Yes, left out Roger Davis because he hasn't been having too good a time away from home lately.
But he scored a hat-trick there in a cup tie, Brian.
He did, yes, and the following 2 weeks later he didn't get a kick, and the last 3 results we've had with Tottenham at Tottenham have always been 1 goals, 1 goals. We've won 1 and they've won 2. Getting a hat-trick one particular match at one particular time of the season doesn't prove anything, Brian. He scored 2 last week against Southampton, and I left him out. The game's made of decisions.
But do you normally pack your midfield and your defence as strongly as that?
It was only packed actually on your caption. It certainly wasn't packed during the match, because I believe we forced 13 corners to Tottenham's 10 corners, and that coming from away side must indicate we did our fair share of attacking.
Well, I think the old thing about statistics proving anything. I went there really genuinely looking forward to seeing Derby County play, and I came away disappointed with what they gave me.
Well, he shouldn't have been disappointed if you'd looked into the finer arts of the game, because you saw skill, you saw endeavour, you saw brilliance on occasions, and you saw 2 goals or 2 balls kicked off the Tottenham line, and enough chances, half chances, for us to have won.
We've got it all wrong then. I mean, myself.
I'm
and the
afraid
press
you
lads.
have, yes. I had the same experience at Coventry last week. We were beaten 1-0 there, and people were delighted with our football, but they said, oh, we don't score goals. And I had to tell the players, look, it'll come so good for you. You've got to believe me. And 4 days later, we stuck 6 in.
Right. Let's look at the goal that was stuck past you yesterday, the goal by Ralph Coates,
Yes,
which you weren't very happy about.
No, it was an unsatisfactory
An
goal.
early run by
This is the man, Gilzine, that caused it in actual fact. He's come right from the far post to receive this big long throw from Chiv. He barely touches it, but it's enough. It finishes up hitting Colin Todd in the face, and then it drops down, and you'll notice all the Derby players are momentarily stationary. And there's that man Coates actually getting it and toe poking it in, when normally he can't burst a paper bag. It was a very, very bad goal defensively from our angle.
The fellow in the number 9 shirt who made the long throw, Martin Chivers, we were having a good look at him yesterday. What did you think of
Yeah,
his
I'm
performance?
obsessed with this lad at the moment, because there's no doubt about it. He is a Jekyll and Hyde type of player. He's got a lethargic side to him, and he's got a very exciting side to him. And we're going to show you a couple of examples to just prove exactly what I mean. He's little Archie Gemmell, probably the smallest man on the field, getting into a tackle with Martin Chivers and literally coming out with a ball. Now, this is where the people give Big Chiv the stick. He should be able to dispossess a little man like Archie Gemmell. We've got another example here. On the other side of the coin, a ball's laid into the box. He gets it, luckily, because this was meant for a shot. But watch him resist tackles now. He does 1, he does 2. He's got that 4 Steve Powell on his back, and it actually bobs to Martin Peters, and he gets a shot in. He could have created the goal there by persistence alone, and people can't understand why he doesn't do this all the time. This is a beautiful ball from Phil Beale into Martin Chivers, right into his path. He's racing through, and I think right at the crunch there, he didn't go right through with it. I believe he could have made a bit bigger and a better effort than that. But this is a moment of magic in the match for him. The ball's headed to him. Without any hesitation, he lays it square to Coates. Coates slides it back to him. Now just watch him take Derby defence to pieces here. That was one tackle he went through Todd, past McFarland, into the penalty area where he earns his cash, looks up, crack, couldn't do anything else, couldn't do anything more apart from put it in the net. And I prefer to give credit to Colin Bolton for a magnificent save.
But now it's time for our third match, Stoke City against a Spurs side that is slowly, and I think quite excitingly, going through a transitional period. Yesterday, for example, they gave a chance to a couple of teenagers, defender Mickey Stead and the much-admired 18-year-old Glenn Hoddle. The pictures come from ATV. The commentator is Hugh Johns. Spurs are in the all-yellow strip.
Lumsden for Robertson again. It was a bit short for Skeels, taken away by Hoddle. Penniman. Stead. Haver gave the ball away. It's on from Moores to Hazelray. Greenhoff's getting set in the middle. Behind him, but it's on for Robertson to score. Well, Greenhoff did. 1-0. Greenhoff, 5 minutes into the game. All starting then with a bad bit of football between Stead and number 11, Jimmy Neighbour, down here in front of us. Hasselgrave was onto it, sped away across the box. Robertson looked as though he was going to shoot, but stuck up a perfect pass for Greenough to score. Lost his feet to Duncan, and Blore knocks it forward again. Greenough. Ball, Robertson. Willie Young gets it away. Pratt, nice little ball for Perryman, and Smith was thundering in on that. Now it's Hudson, and Smith's gone on again. Could be offside if he doesn't watch his step. Goes instead for Greenough. Smith's still in the box, so's Moore. They've got height there now. Didn't get the ball up high enough. In again comes Skills, and it's Perryman coming out for Spurs. Chivers to his left. Chivers now. Moores has come back to have a go at Chivers. Ball, Neighbour. He attacks Dodd. That's useful, and that's Duncan. Duncan, this eager engineering. Scott snaps up the equaliser. His 20th goal of the season. 28 minutes gone. That was a good breakout for Spurs. Chivers the ball across the park to Jimmy Neighbour. His cross into the box confused Stoke for a moment, and while they hesitated, Duncan was snapping the goal. Taking on Dodd, brought down by Dodd, and Dodd had better watch his step. He's already had one very, very firm word from referee Peter Willis. Perryman then with this free kick. Far post for Young. Smith up, and that was Pratt trying it. Duncan there, and in for Chivers. Needs a lob from Hoddle. He did tremendously well, Glenn Hoddle. 2-1 Spurs. 36 minutes gone. Glenn Hoddle in his first regular match for the side gets the applause of his colleagues, and Shilton's shake of the head in anger as he puts Spurs 2-1 up, his first ever goal for the first team. Glenn Hoddle, 17 years old, someday for him. That ball bobbling about a long time, and certainly I thought with Shilton off his line, Hoddle might have chipped it, but he struck it hard instead. Smith, good head. And Summons finally gets it. Lumsden. Robertson in a chase, and Willie Young comes. Well, Stoke getting good support from a fairly sparse crowd. Moores, Hudson knocked out for the corner. Well, they're piling up the points in corners, Stoke. They haven't turned one to advantage yet. Salmon's over the ball. Jennings comes, and Moores blocked finally by McAllister. Boots flying all over the place then, and it was Moores who got the last touch, and McAllister just blocks it away for another corner. Hudson and Salmons. Hudson takes it, hooks it in there for Moores. And that's a goal. No, Jennings got there from Smith. Pat Jennings really is the most remarkable fella. Smith shaking his head, can't believe it. Absolutely cannot believe it. Hudson's kick comes on. Smith heads to what looks like an empty net, and Jennings.
So a very valuable win that for Tottenham, and I'm sure a memorable one for young Glenn Hoddle. And after the match, Hugh Johns asked Glenn Hoddle for his reaction.
Well, I was obviously pleased, especially with the goal, and pleased with me performance, right up till sort of the last 10 minutes. I give a few balls away, but which is a little bit understandable. First game, but particularly pleased with the goal.
Yeah, was it a bit nerve-wracking though, coming out as a starter for the very first time?
Yes, it was. Yeah, very, especially away. If you're at home with your debut and you've got some crowd behind you. But I enjoyed it still, and the lads helped me on.
Right. I think many of the Spurs fans will find you a bit of a new face. You're 18 years old. Where'd you come from, Glenn?
Well, I come from Harlow and I was born in Hayes. So...
Well, you're dying to tell us about the goal, the match winner.
Yeah, well...
How did you actually get it yourself?
Well, it come out, I don't know who played it out, but come out and John Pratt said hit it, and, you know, so I hit it, like, and it was going, like, and I see Peter Shilton put his hand out, and I thought he'd tapped it round, and then I just saw it at the net. That was it.
First we go across to White Hart Lane, where Spurs come out to face Leeds. New signing from Stoke City in their ranks, Ian Moores, the under-23 striker, who scored in the games at Middlesbrough and Manchester United. This is his first home game, and this then is the team that he's joined. Barry Danes in goal in place of Pat Jennings. The back four of Naylor, Young, Osgood, McAllister. Middle three of Hoddle, Perryman and Coates. And up front, Neighbour, Moores and Jones, with John Pratt, the substitute. As for Leeds United, they field the side that beat Derby County last week. David Harvey in goal, a back four of Reaney, Madeley, Hunter and Frankie Gray, Bremner, Cherry and Curry in the midfield, Alan Clark, who passed a test on a groin injury, McNiven and Eddie Gray up front, with Peter Lorimer transfer listed, their substitute.
One of the great famous Tottenham players is out and injured at the moment. There he is in the suit, Pat Jennings. Coates. Played in again towards Ian Moores. Oh, and he was so unlucky there, Jones. Neighbour turning it back again, and Harvey saving well there. Well, Moores very nearly got on the score sheet there. In fact, it may have just glided off the top of his head. He may have made more of it. Jones was almost in, and then in the end, it was Jimmy Neighbour's shot, superbly saved by the Leeds goalkeeper, David Harvey. Naylor. Chris Jones. And now Reedy for Leeds. Long ball onside, he's all right. Now McNiven, can he make something of this? He has! Oh, and what a good save by Danes. Well, that was a superb piece of goalkeeping, and nobody would be happier about that, I'm sure, than Pat Jennings on the bench there. In fact, I can see him on the far side applauding away. Young David McNiven caught that superbly, and Barry Danes whacked it over the top with a superb piece of goalkeeping. McAllister. Perryman, chance to lift it in again. And they're all going in there, Madeley under a lot of pressure. Willie Young right in there, can he get a shot in? Oh my goodness, it almost came off Moores and was grasped under that crossbar by David Harvey. Young hitting it well, surprised how much room he had. It glanced off Ian Moores and somehow Harvey grabbed it under the crossbar. Well, it's got the Spurs fans going a bit as well. And certainly they're playing well, making one or two chances. And maybe this is another one coming up. Willie Young, oh my goodness! Yes, Jones! What a remarkable series of escapes there. As that ball came in, it was whacked against the crossbar. I think it was a Leeds player who put it against the crossbar. And when it came back, Jones pounced on it superbly, threw a whole lot of players into the back of the net. Now Hull. Oh my goodness, what a good shot. Into the side netting, when it was a foot away from being a wonder goal from Glenn Hoddle. took that on the bounce, hit it left-footed without a second thought, but wide of the post. And here's the corner now. Eddie Gray with it. McAllister's header away. Now this could be a break for Tottenham. It's 2 against 2 as Neighbour now runs Hunter. Bremner steaming to get back. Still with Jimmy Neighbour. He's gone a long, long way. And Harvey almost let it slip under his body. Well, Neighbour did tremendously well there. He kept Hunter on tenterhooks. He must have shot from something like 27, 28 yards. Low and powerful. Harvey down well. Almost let it slip under his body. Now McAllister. Eye towards Chris Jones. Got his header in there too. Now Perryman with a shot. Oh, how unlucky. Oh, and indeed Perryman very nearly got in with the rebound as well. Well, how near can you go without actually scoring? A tremendous shot there by Perryman. And not only that, while others looked around in disappointment when that cannoned off the post, Perryman was diving in and almost got the rebound in. Naylor. Jones making a run. Naylor spotted him. Ian Moores with the shot. Might still come for Chris Jones. It'll come for Neighbour instead. Now for Naylor. Still more pressure that Spurs are putting on this Leeds defence. Neighbour with a nice little cross. And Ian Moores up with a header, and somehow Harvey just got down to save it. That was a brilliant piece of goalkeeping. And Moores very nearly scored his 3rd goal for Tottenham there. And Pratt over the top. Well, as Neighbour dimped that cross in, Moores got up superbly at the far post, nodded it down, it looked a certain goal. But superb reactions too by David Harvey in the Leeds goal.
Yes, a good win and well-deserved points for Tottenham. And now meet their new manager, Keith Birkinshaw. And indeed, you've had a good last couple of weeks, Keith, haven't you? A win at Middlesbrough, a win at Manchester United, and now a win against Leeds.
Yes, it's as much as that I could have hoped for in that week and a half it is now. If somebody had said prior to this that we would get the 3 wins against Middlesbrough, Manchester and Leeds, I would have said, well, that's hoping for a little bit too much, but there it is, we've done it.
You've got Liverpool waiting next week, haven't you?
Yeah, well, if we win that one, I think we're on our way a little bit.
What, in fact, has pleased you most over this last 10 days or so?
I think the fact that the players are beginning to realise that they're a little bit better than what people sometimes give them credit for. And I think this game's a lot about confidence and a lot about spirit, and I think we've got both in abundance.
Steve Perryman. Long ball for Crooks to chase. Tottenham ball. Crooks himself looking for Archibald to twist and turn, and look at that for an effort. Steve Archibald just giving us a glimpse there of the sort of scoring power that the man has in the penalty area. Just shown the goal for a fraction of a second, and from that throw from Crooks, well, it just scraped the far post. Ritchie's determination, finding Robinson. Nice turn from the big man on the edge of the area, switching it to Neil McNabb, but they've lost the element of surprise now unless they can keep it going through Stevens. Stevens cross to the far post. Oh my goodness, Danes was nowhere near that, and if they'd had somebody there, that must have been the first goal. Robinson challenged in the end by Crooks, who concedes third corner. Well, that was a real scare for Tottenham, and how they survived that, well, only Barry Danes will know. Danes mistimed the leap, really, and whether or not he touched it's not quite clear, but lucky to get away with it from that little cross-come shot from Gary Stevens. Anyway, it's John Gregory now to take the corner. Driven hard, looking for Robinson, who just missed out. Ardiles showing nice ball control. Switching it to Crooks. Galvin losing O'Sullivan nicely. Roberts in support on the left. This is Roberts. Hit it left foot. First time. Archibald's there. And he's got Hoddle just behind him. This could be dangerous if they can't clear it. Archibald's cross. O'Sullivan careful to chest that one down. Galvin to Crooks. A little burst through from Ardiles. Here's a chance, Ozzy Ardiles. And he's made it. Well, Brighton have paid the penalty. The writing was on the wall a few moments ago. They didn't clear the danger. And the little Argentinian saw his chance, burst through while the Brighton defenders stood and watched and hit the shot. And, well, Brighton are now in the lead, or rather 1 goal behind. Nice long ball for Paul Clark to chase. Good interception by Perriman, but it's still Clark. Hustled out of it by Lacey. And that'll be a free kick to Brighton. Now a chance for Brighton to perhaps get back in this match. Neil McNabb over the ball. And Steve Foster's come up to join the attack. Robinson, Ritchie, Horton, they're all there towards that far side. Just a 2-man Tottenham wall. McNabb's free kick, headed in. Good header from Ritchie and fisted over by Barry Daines. Well, that's the most promising move of this match so far, I think, from Brighton. And it's some comment that it's come in the second half. Crooks is back alongside Lacey. Foster this time. And Daines watching it fall harmlessly away. Steve Foster going back to take his place at the heart of the Brighton defence. And so Galvin coming away. Crooks is wide on the left. That's the ball for Crooks. He's got Archibald in the middle. Good determined run from Crooks. Paul Clark is close to him. Shot coming in from Crooks, and again Crooks has got a second bite. Just trying to be too deliberate finding Archibald. But it's not over yet because this is Galvin. Galvin, and that was more dangerous than it looked. Well, the corner conceded. Garth Crooks, yet again illustrating just a moment or two ago how dangerous he can be. And it's going to be another Tottenham corner. Galvin finding Ardiles. Ardiles. Shot coming in from Roberts. Right through a crowd of players, and Digweed again did well to see that. Down quickly to gather it at full stretch. But as we've seen so often this afternoon, Brighton possession doesn't necessarily mean too much. Stevens. Now, what can they make of this? Not a lot, because it runs straight to Ardiles. That's really been the story of the match. Ardiles picking up the loose balls and making the most of them. This is Archibald with Clark just behind him. Hoddle's gone on a run through, and this is McAllister in support. Cross coming from Don McAllister. Crooks is there. Oh, and that's a good goal. What a good goal that was. He measured it all the way, and McAllister picked his spot. And Garth Crooks, little jackknife of a leap, and that's the second Tottenham goal, and really they deserved it. There's the cross. Coming in from McAllister, just look at the way Crooks gets up, powers that header past Digweed, and that's a good goal.
Well, we start tonight with Spurs against Aston Villa, and the reason we were at White Hart Lane today was to see this Villa side as they chase Ipswich towards the Championship. Well, they came into today's game 1 point behind Ipswich and having played 1 game more. And for one young Villa player, well, it's been a memorable week.
Last Sunday night we saw Gary Shaw claimed as the Young Player of the Year at the PFA dinner in London. Well, here he is back in London today to spearhead Aston Villa's thrust towards the top of the First Division. And he faces this Tottenham side that at the moment is going through an unimpressive spell. Now they have Milja Aleksic returning to goal because Barry Daines has a shoulder injury, and Spurs try a new defensive formation with Graham Roberts going to central defence, Steve Perryman to right back and Chris Hughton to left back. Meanwhile, Aston Villa, they're without a key player. It's their striker Peter Withe, who was suspended earlier this week, and his place now goes to the former Ipswich striker David Geddes. Villa come to this game, in fact, with a proud unbeaten record in their last 10 games. And indeed, the high winds are going to make it very, very difficult indeed for the players here today.
Mort. Well, Maul is after this one, and Perryman had gone with him.
Curled in there again, and Miller. Now just look at that ball. Whoa. And in the end, Aleksic had to punch it over. The perfect illustration of how difficult it is in that high wind. And the ball was crossed in there, miskicked there, and now suddenly there's a problem as the Villa come in, and that would have gone in the goal until Aleksic punched it over. Dunfermline player, such a good influence at the back there for Aston Villa, though. Ardiles playing it in. Archibald, I thought, was going to have a go. Crooks might have a shot. Oh, what a good save. Crooks allowing it to go to Ardiles. It's played here by Archibald. Comes for for Crooks again, and a good piece of keeping there by Rimmer. Rimmer beaten away by Brook. The game allowed to go on there. It's with Hoddle. And Galvin's pass. Pushed away by Rimmer. A brilliant shot by Hoddle. And a fine piece of keeping by Jimmy Rimmer. There's the ball played in for Hoddle. What a strike that was. And a save. By Morley. Played in for Shaw. Oh, no word. Yes, penalty. He was just nicked. I had the impression that Graham Roberts did nick him, and the referee had no hesitation. Graham Roberts perplexed by it. So Cowans, well, that won't help the tension for the moment as the wind blows the ball off the penalty spot. Well, I wonder what it'll do for Aleksic. Now, Cowans versus Aleksic, and this could be important for Aston Villa. Oh, and he's missed it! And he's not too pleased about it either, Ron Saunders. Paul Miller, the one ball forward. Crooks finding Galvin. Still with Galvin, getting it back there. Archibald! Well, that's 2-0. And it's one of the unsung heroes, Tony Galvin, who set that one up. Coming down this byline, and he's done that rather well once or twice today. There's the cross going in, and the header, and a good one that is on the replay there from Steve Archibald. 2-0. Galvin with it. There's Crooks. Here's Brook. Shooting position. Oh, what a save! Flipped that one up and over, but really the inquest in that bit of defence is look at the space there was for Brook on the edge of that penalty area.
And now we go with Spurs to Middlesbrough. Spurs without their two main strikers, Garth Crooks and Steve Archibald, who are both injured, and who between them scored 47 league and cup goals last season. That's some firing power to be missing at the start of the season. Well, the pictures are from Tyne Tees Television. The commentator is Roger Thames. Spurs are in white.
Out wide for Galvin here on the left, and Houghton is making an overlap outside of him, but he's going it alone. Got the cross in as well. Brook with a chance. Oh, he's hit the bar. That was a golden chance for Gary Brook. Galvin was left exposed on the left, and his ball came to Gary Brook. He thundered the shot in, but it rattled back off the crossbar, and Villa couldn't quite control the rebound. The run by David Shearer, and Craig supporting him now. Got a bad ball in. Heine Otto, he scored. Heine Otto marks his debut with a lovely taken goal. 14 minutes gone, and Middlesbrough take the lead, and it's the new boy Heine Otto from Holland who makes his mark in fine style. Credit to Shearer, who came out well here, and it was a good cross in from John Craggs. And there's Otto, poor marking by Spurs. Ray Clements had no chance. Craggs with the throw. Headley wanted it, and it's into the middle for McDonald. Otto setting up Craggs to try and beat Houghton before he could get the cross in. There's a break on here now for Spurs. The flag stayed down, and here's Falco. Oh, what a lovely goal. He really took that one so well. Mark Falco. Middlesbrough were caught exposed, and Gary Brook threaded through a really accurate ball to Falco, and he took one look and sized up the situation and cracked that one past Jim Platt. Mistake there, and Villiers in. Brook, leave it for Hoddle. What a goal from Glenn Hoddle! That is superb. Well, Middlesbrough punished for that minor mistake by John Craggs out there. Brook left it. Hoddle, look at that for accuracy. Bolton, Gary McDonald flicking it on. Wolf, Hodgson, oh, good save by Clements. Hodgson frustrated there, but that's the sort of save Ray Clements specialises in, and that's why they paid the money for him. It was knocked on, and Hodgson took it well on the turn and really got hold of it, but Clements' reactions were as lightning as ever. Square for Natris, hit it well, and Clements was in trouble. It was a neatly worked free kick, that one, and Natris got a fair degree of power behind it and accuracy as well. Fell comfortably in his stride, and Clements made rather difficult work of that. Here comes the corner, but Ardiles has got it away. And Clements really would have made the headlines if he'd let that one slip through. But now it could be Tottenham who end up on a scoring note. Here's Villa. And Platt makes the mistake, and Ricky Villa cashes in. Tottenham score in the dying seconds of extra time and bring a smile to the face of Ricky Villa. He had plenty of time to size up the shot, and Platt seemed to be caught slightly off balance.
Well, 3-1 for Spurs is how it finished, and I'm sure they'll be happy now to welcome West Ham to White Hart Lane on Wednesday night. We're back in the First Division for Southampton against Spurs, the match chosen by Southern Television this week. Now, Southampton with something to prove after their League Cup defeat at Chelsea in midweek. Spurs with something to build on after their fine victory at Manchester United in the same competition. Now, commentator David Bobin, Spurs are in the all-light strip.
A bit tight on that touchline, but finally Holmes brings it away. Alan Ball couldn't control it, and Ardiles is in there first. Good run this from Ardiles. What a good shot from Ardiles, the Argentinian international, and bringing an equally fine save from Ivan Kadalinic. Keegan shaking off the challenge from Ardiles. And a bit lucky there, Tottenham, to get that rebound. Shannon showing real commitment. What a good save from Clements. And Mickey Shannon, full of determination, bringing an excellent save from Ray Clements, and Tottenham are looking just a little bit rocky. It's going to be a corner, and Southampton are really pushing forward now and asking a few questions of this Tottenham defence. Certainly Paul Miller was grateful enough to hook it away for a corner. And Southampton pushing everyone forward now. Shannon's corner, header from Nicol. Chris Nicol there, good header from him. It was on its way to the net, but a fine save from Clements. Ardiles taking that free kick to Crooks. Crooks trying to find his way past Nicol and Baker. The ball taking a deflection, so that's going to be a Tottenham corner. Now Miller has come up to join his attack, as has Graham Roberts, and Archibald and Crooks are already there. Roberts has scored! Graham Roberts with a beautifully timed header, crisp as you like, into the back of the net, and that's from a boy who was born here in Southampton. Corner swung over from Tony Galvin. Roberts almost unmarked, plenty of time, and that's 1-0. So Graham Roberts, the local boy who actually hasn't played here at the Dell since he played for Southampton schoolboys some years ago. What a homecoming for him. 24 minutes of the match gone. Graham Roberts putting Tottenham Hotspur in front. Southampton really got to have a go now to pull one back. Keegan to Moran, and Moran has done it! Well, you can't ask for anything better than that. Kevin Keegan finding Steve Moran, and Moran levels it. Steve Moran's 8th goal of the season. The youngster didn't play the whole game at Chelsea midweek. They brought him back and he scored again today. Look at this beautiful shot, straight past Clements, one each. Archibald not hitting that ball well, and Holmes in very quickly to pick up on the error by the Scot. If he gets somebody in support, here's Shannon. Oh, what a save from Clements. Shannon, I don't think, hit it really cleanly, but nevertheless it was on its way, and Clements did really well to push that one away. Nice control from the left back. Really nice play from Nicky Holmes. Ball, Keegan, Williams. Steve Williams turns away in disgust. That could so easily have got in. Shouts for handball against Crooks, but it's to Hoddle. Archibald, Hazard's unmarked. Hoddle completely missing his kick. They're queuing up for it. Hazard against the bar, and Crooks misses it. Well, a let off for Southampton there. They were all standing ball watching. The shot came in, and when it came back off the bar, they were lucky to get away with it. There it is, a terrible mix-up, standing looking. Hazard, it is, who gets round the man, hits the shot in, back off the crossbar with Catalina, it's beaten, and Crooks misses it. Ardiles leaving that a bit short, and Lawrence is away. Keegan's in the middle, a bit overstruck by the youngster. That's a shame. Again, just a little bit over-enthusiastic, George Lawrence. The referee has given the penalty. Keegan was going in on that mistimed back pass, and he was brought down by Roberts. Chance to see this one again. This is important because that rebound, Keegan was going for it, and Roberts brought him down. The referee took a good look and gave the penalty. While all this goes on, the substitution is made. Young Patrick Corbett comes on for Tottenham. Garth Crooks is going off. Patrick Corbett is coming on. There he is, Patrick Corbett, replacing Garth Crooks. But we mustn't let that get away from the fact that we've got two England men against each other here. Kevin Keegan against Ray Clements. And it's a great stop. A great stop from Clements. Brilliant save from Ray Clements. Going absolutely frantic with his defenders, saying, don't lose concentration. I've saved you, but we're not out of trouble yet. Corner floats over. Nichol's header it was, just over the top. But there's no doubt that the hero for Tottenham right now is Ray Clements with that brilliant save from Keegan. Keegan hit the penalty hard and low, and there's no doubt that Clements really was very quick to get down to it and push it away. And in the resulting scramble, well, Southampton couldn't make it pay. Into injury time in this match. And really, what a splendid exhibition of attacking football it's been. Only one goal apiece so far, but it really has been intriguing. And here's Archibald with a chance. Great stop. Corbett's got a chance. And the young substitute comes on and scores a dramatic goal. Well, disaster at the death for Southampton. Patrick Corbett, the young man who came on when the penalty was taken. Here's Archibald with the shot. It comes back. Great stop for Katalinic. He couldn't hold it, and Corbett couldn't believe his luck. And it goes into the back of the net, and Tottenham are in front.
So Spurs move up to third behind the joint leaders Manchester United and Ipswich, who both won yesterday. 2-1 for Spurs then, and what a marvellous first appearance for young Pat Corbett, an 18-year-old boy from Hackney, and normally he's a defender. And further proof, indeed if anyone needed, that goalkeeper Ray Clements is truly back to his best form.
We move to London for the match between Spurs and West Ham. West Ham began the day, of course, in second place in the First Division. 42,000 people at White Hart Lane, including the match commentator, Brian Moore.
Gary Mabbott, who received a few bumps and bruises during England's victory in Greece on Wednesday and during his excellent performance in midfield, has been past fit for today's game. So here's the lineup then. Spurs, even so, without central defenders Paul Miller and John Lacey. And it means that Paul Price and Gary O'Reilly now cover the centre of the Tottenham defence, and Gary Brooke is named as the substitute. As for West Ham, they miss Alan Devonshire, who had to pull out of that England game in Salonika with hamstring trouble. It's still a bit of bother to him. And now Jimmy Neighbour, a former Tottenham man, takes his place in the side with defender Paul Brush, the West Ham substitute. Perriman. Archibald to Hazard. Now Perriman again. Good interception by Martin. Off the knees of Lampard to Hazard. Stopped there on a bad back pass by Pike. And a brilliant save from Archibald by Parks. And a goal kick? No, a corner given. Well, it could have been a lot worse for West Ham. The back pass from Jeff Pike putting him in all sorts of trouble. Archibald onto it quickly. And a fine save by Phil Parks. Mabbott versus Allen. Falls for Hazard. It's not the best of balls for Hoddle, but at least he was able to turn it for Perriman. Finds Villa, a touch for Hoddle. And now Villa again. Oh, and they're all after him now, but can they catch him? Well, Park stopped him, and Mabbott couldn't get the rebound. Billy Bond's absolutely furious with one or two defenders around him. They really let Villa go. And here are West Ham now with Neighbour. Offside. Well, it was a great break by Ricky Villa. He took on all the responsibility. Look at West Ham chasing him. A powerful left foot shot, fisted away by Parks. Not a lot of progress as yet, and the referee playing another good advantage. Good jump by Stewart, who when he first came to West Ham, heading was not his strongest point, but he's really worked on that, and it was a good header away there. Now, Goddard, Van der Elst, a great break by him, and a chance for the Belgian to put West Ham into the lead. 1-0. Right in front of the West Ham fans, Francois Van der Elst. the season and a very important first here this afternoon for West Ham. Beautiful the way he took it around Ray Clements and slotted it home to put West Ham into the lead. So 10 minutes of the second half gone and West Ham still leading by a goal to nil. Houghton. Neighbour. Oh, a back pass by Neighbour for Archibald. And 1-1. Jimmy Neighbour with his head in his hands. A back pass that was never really on. There's the back pass coming up. And here's Steve Archibald as Parks came flying out. The ball went flying in. It's 1-1. Hazard. Houghton. It's gone past Neighbour. Lining up the right foot shot, and it's a good one! Came back off the post. Well, Chris Houghton was so close to getting his second goal of the season. Look at the time he was given, though. Whacked it wide of Phil Parks, and the ball cannoned back off the post. Pushing their back four up so that West Ham have to make their breaks from a fairly deep position. Hope that they might catch him offside, which is always a dangerous game to play. O'Reilly. Oh, Lampard had to break away, and Pike, in the end, just gets there before Archibald. He's found Goddard, who's not had one of his better games today. Maybe the support has been lacking. Abbott finding Brooks. Might come in for Mabbott again. Lampard, a deflection, and Archibald! 2-1. Mabbott, a tremendous part in it. He dived in there. And then it came for Archibald, who leathered it past Phil Parks. And Spurs, having been behind, go into the lead with about a minute and a half remaining.
And that was it. The end of another good game, a late winner for Spurs on the pitch, but off it, Spurs are in big trouble. They're £4.5 million in debt, and the new stand is costing them £500,000 a year in interest alone. Well, since that game finished, and we heard suggestions there from the commentator Brian Moore about it, the Spurs directors have indeed held a board meeting to discuss a takeover bid by an undisclosed consortium.